Francisco Pizarro, born in Trujillo, Spain, on March 16, 1478, and assassinated in Lima on June 26, 1541, was a Spanish explorer and conquistador. Pizarro was born in Trujillo, in the Spanish region of Extremadura, as the illegitimate son of the hidalgo and infantry colonel Gonzalo Pizarro Rodriguez de Aguilar and Francisca González. He received little formal education and grew up illiterate. He married the sister of Atahualpa, known as Quispe Sisa, but Pizarro called her Inzuelas Yupanqui. They had a daughter named Francisca Pizarro Yupanqui, and their son Gonzalo died at a young age. He left Spain on November 10, 1509, sailing with Alonso de Ojeda to the New World on an expedition to the Gulf of Uraba in Tierra Firme and arrived in the Caribbean. Pizarro participated in Ojeda's unsuccessful colony and led it until he departed with the survivors. He sailed to Cartagena and joined the fleet of Martín Fernández de Enciso in 1513, accompanying Balboa during his crossing of the Isthmus of Panama to the Pacific Ocean. The following year, Pedro Arias de Vila succeeded Balboa and became the governor of Castilla de Oro. Pizarro served as a close associate of de Vila for the next 5 years. Balboa was arrested and beheaded by Pizarro on de Vila's orders in January 1519, and Pizarro was rewarded with the position of mayor of the newly founded Panama City from 1519 to 1523. The first attempt to explore the western coast of South America was made in 1522 by Pascual de Andagoya. He learned from native South Americans about a region called Vairu, rich in gold, along the Piru River, later corrupted to Peru. When Pizarro heard in 1522 about the successes of Hernán Cortés and the stories brought back by the ailing Andagoya, regarding territories along the east coast of what we now know as South America, he formed an alliance with Diego de Almagro, a soldier and adventurer in Panama, and the priest Hernando de Luque to explore and conquer new lands in the south. The first expedition, with 80 men and 40 horses, in 1524, did not get far beyond Punta Quemada in present-day Colombia due to adverse weather, food shortages, and conflicts with indigenous peoples. The second expedition was in 1526. In July 1526, Pedro de los Rios replaced de Vila as governor. Pizarro departed with 160 men and some horses, but it was not successful. Ultimately, only 13 men chose to continue the search for the riches of the south, known as Los Tres de la Fama. In April 1528, they reached the northwestern Tumbes region, where they were warmly welcomed by the Tumpai people. Here, they encountered llamas for the first time, which Pizarro referred to as small camels. They returned to prepare for a third expedition. Pizarro sailed to Spain to secure the support of the king himself, as Pedro de los Rios no longer granted him permission. Pizarro was received by Charles V in Toledo, but during his absence, Queen Isabella of Portugal signed the Capitulation de Toledo, legitimizing Pizarro's conquest of Peru. He was officially appointed governor, captain general, adelantado, and alguacil mayor of New Castile. In his hometown of Trujillo, he convinced his brother Hernando Pizarro to join the expedition, and later, Juan Pizarro, Gonzalo Pizarro, and Pedro Pizarro also joined the venture. The third expedition set sail the following year with 3 ships, 180 men, and 27 horses. Pizarro had not managed to assemble the 250 men required by the capitulation, but in January 1530, they sailed from Gomera to Panama and, on December 27, 1530, to Peru. Battle of Cajamarca in May 1532, Pizarro established the first Spanish settlement, San Miguel de Pura. On September 24, Pizarro continued his journey. Exploiting the weakening of the Inca Empire due to the smallpox brought by the conquerors, the death of Crown Prince Ninancuyochi, and the related civil war between the brothers Atahualpa and Huáscar, he penetrated deep into the heart of the Inca Empire. In Cajamarca, he found himself in a perilous position. The Spaniards were invited to meet Inca Emperor Atahualpa and arrived in Cajamarca on November 15, 1532. Pizarro was accompanied by 110 foot soldiers, 67 cavalrymen, 3 arquebusiers, and 2 falconets. Pizarro sent Hernando Pizarro ahead to meet Atahualpa. Atahualpa agreed to meet Francisco Pizarro the following day. On November 16, Dominican Friar Vicente de Valverde explained the true faith to the emperor and the necessity to pay tribute to King Charles V. In response, the Inca emperor said, "I will not be subject to anyone's tribute." The numerical superiority of his opponents forced Pizarro to capture the poorly defended Inca emperor Atahualpa after the Battle of Cajamarca. This occurred after a seemingly peaceful and impressive meeting, on the pretext that the emperor had insulted Christianity by throwing a Bible to the ground. However, for Atahualpa, a book held no significance. The Inca emperor was now a hostage, which proved to be a significant military advantage. The Inca army, weakened by the consequences of the smallpox epidemic, was systematically and ruthlessly defeated by the Spaniards, who were armed with firearms and mounted on horses. Meanwhile, Atahualpa was forced to fill a chamber, measuring 7 by 5 meters, with gold and silver as ransom for Pizarro. Despite this payment, he was still sentenced to death for fratricide, as he had ordered the killing of his half-brother. Just before his execution, the Inca emperor converted to escape the stake and was subsequently strangled. When Charles V learned of this execution, he was displeased that a monarch had been put to death in the name of justice. Internal struggle for power. Now that the main contenders had been removed from the equation, Pizarro was in complete control of the empire. He led 500 men to Cusco, and on November 15, 1533, they entered the city. On January 6, 1535, Pizarro founded a new city on the coast, which would later be called Lima. A coastal capital was much more convenient as a foothold for the arriving Spaniards than the original Inca capital of Cusco, which was located in the mountains. In Cusco, a brother of Atahualpa, Tupac Hualpa, had been installed on the throne as a puppet ruler, but he died shortly thereafter. Another brother, Manco Inca, followed him on the throne. When Manco Inca realized that the real power was in the hands of the Spaniards, his house was plundered by a Spanish mob, he lost his gold and wives, and he was even imprisoned. He fled Cusco and started an Inca uprising. Manco Inca managed to defeat Hernando Pizarro in the Battle of Ollantaytambo and made another attempt to recapture Cusco. Meanwhile, Diego de Almagro had left the occupied Cusco with a small army to conquer areas to the south and southeast of the capital. However, he encountered only hostile Indians and had to return empty-handed. Almagro became envious of Pizarro's success. He imprisoned Hernando and González Pizarro. There was no reconciliation between Almagro and Manco Inca, and after a victorious battle, Almagro's lieutenant pursued the retreating Manco Inca. Finally, Manco Inca established a neo-Inca state in Vilcabamba, which lasted until 1572. The question of how to divide the new power led to a serious conflict between the Pizarro brothers and Almagro, triggering a civil war among the Spaniards. Pizarro emerged victorious in the Battle of Las Salinas in 1538 and had his ally Almagro, who had become his rival, executed. Almagro's son, El Mozo, was financially ruined by Pizarro. Atahualpa's 10-year-old wife, Cuxime Oclo Yupanqui, later known as Dona Angelina, bore 2 sons to Pizarro, Juan and Francisco. Pizarro was assassinated in Lima on June 26, 1541, at the age of 63, by El Mozo and around 20 supporters who stormed the governor's palace. Pizarro killed 2 attackers, but when his sword got stuck in a third, El Mozo stabbed him in the throat. The conquistador was then brutally killed with over 20 stabs. El Mozo was executed the following year after a lost battle. Pizarro was buried in the Cathedral of Lima. His grave was later moved to the crypt of the cathedral. In 1891, a mummy was identified as his and displayed in a glass sarcophagus. However, in 1977, a lead box was found in a bricked-up niche in the crypt, bearing an inscription stating that it contained Pizarro's head. Forensic examination revealed that the injuries on the bones matched the description of Pizarro's death. It was also proven that the mummy could not be Pizarro. Consequently, the remains in the sarcophagus were replaced with the contents of the lead box. A bronze equestrian statue of Pizarro was erected in his hometown of Trujillo. Thanks for watching this video. If you like the video, please subscribe to our channel.